There was a time when a compact car could cost around 20 grand, come with a turbo, a manual gearbox, a giant wing, strange factory colors, and enough attitude to embarrass cars that looked way more serious. Today, that sounds almost impossible. Most affordable cars are built to be safe, efficient, quiet, and practical. That is not a bad thing. But in the early 2000s, automakers were doing something different. They were taking basic economy cars and turning them into factory-built tuner machines. Not aftermarket builds, not special dealer projects, real production cars. This was the era of the Dodge Neon SRT4, the Subaru WRX, the Honda Civic C, the Mazdaspeed Protegé, the Chevy Cobalt SS, and the Nissan Sentra SER Spec V. These were compact cars with personality. Some were rough, some were cheap inside, some made weird noises, had torque steer, or came with interiors that felt like a rental car with ambition. But that was the magic. They were not perfect, they were alive. So today on NextGear, we're looking at the compact performance cars that made the 2000s feel insane, why they mattered, what made each one special, and why the modern car market still has not fully replaced them. And we have to start with the car that might be the most ridiculous of all. Dodge Neon SRT4, the economy car that refused to behave. The Dodge Neon SRT4 should not have worked. On paper, it was based on a Neon, one of the most ordinary compact sedans in America. But Chrysler's performance team looked at tuner culture, looked at what young enthusiasts were building, and decided to sell that energy directly from the factory. The result was wild. For 2003, the SRT4 came with a turbocharged 2.4-liter four-cylinder, making 215 horsepower and 245 pound-feet of torque. It had a 5-speed manual transmission, front-wheel drive, a big rear wing, aggressive bodywork, and a price just under $20,000. That is the kind of formula automakers rarely touch now. The important thing is not just the power, it is the attitude. The Neon SRT4 was not trying to feel premium. It was not trying to be subtle. It was loud, fast, cheap, and proud of it. In period comparison tests, it shocked people because it was not just quick for a Neon. It was genuinely entertaining. It had real acceleration, real grip, real drama, and the kind of rawness that makes a car memorable even when the interior plastics are terrible. And yes, that is the weakness. The cabin was cheap. The refinement was limited. The front tires had a lot of work to do, and the car could feel messy if you treated it like a precision instrument. But that is also why people still talk about it. The Neon SRT4 was not the most polished compact of its era. It was the one that made the biggest statement. It proved that a basic sedan could become a factory street weapon without losing its budget car honesty. Subaru WRX, rally culture for real people. If the Neon SRT4 was the loud troublemaker, the Subaru WRX was the rally hero that regular buyers could actually put in their driveway. When the WRX reached the US for the 2002 model year, it brought something very different to the compact market. A turbocharged flat-4 engine, all-wheel drive, a manual transmission, and direct connection to Subaru's rally image. This was not just a sporty trim with badges. It felt like a doorway into a completely different car culture. The 2002 WRX made 227 horsepower from a 2.0-liter turbocharged boxer engine. It had standard all-wheel drive, a 5-speed manual, and performance that made it feel special in bad weather, on back roads, and anywhere grip mattered more than luxury. That is what separated it from most front-wheel drive sport compacts. The WRX gave buyers a sense of capability. You could drive it to work, throw friends in it, deal with rain or snow, then still feel like you were driving something with motorsport DNA. The interior was not fancy. The styling was awkward to some people. The engine had turbo lag, and ownership could become expensive if the car was modified badly or abused. But the WRX mattered because it created a tribe. Even now, the WRX is one of the few cars that still brings younger drivers into performance car culture. People buy them, modify them, debate them, defend them, and sometimes break them. The WRX was not just a compact performance car. It was a culture machine. It gave normal buyers a taste of rally attitude without needing exotic money. Honda Civic C, the smart one that could still scream. Honda's approach was different. While Dodge and Subaru were leaning into boost and aggression, Honda built its reputation on balance, revs, shifter feel, and everyday usability. The Civic C story goes back decades. The first C-branded Civic model in the US was the 1985 Civic CRX-C, with 91 horsepower from a 1.5-liter engine. That does not sound powerful now, but the formula was already there: lightweight, manual transmission, sharp response, and fun without huge numbers. By the mid-2000s, the Civic C had evolved into one of the best all-around affordable enthusiast cars. The 8th generation Civic C brought a 2.0-liter K-Series engine with 197 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque. It revved high, sounded great, came with a 6-speed manual, and gave drivers one of the best shifter experiences in the segment. Then Honda added the Civic C sedan for 2007, and that changed the appeal. Now you could have the rev-happy engine, the manual gearbox, the limited slip differential, and actual daily practicality in one package. The Civic C did not need a huge wing or a turbocharger to feel special. Its strength was precision. The steering felt right. The gearbox felt expensive. The engine rewarded commitment. You had to rev it, you had to work for the speed, and that made the driving experience more satisfying. The weakness was also obvious: torque. Compared with turbocharged rivals, the Civic C did not hit as hard in the low and mid-range. If you wanted instant shove, the Dodge or Subaru felt more dramatic. But if you cared about connection, the Civic C was elite. The Civic C was the mature enthusiast choice. It was practical, reliable, sharp, and genuinely fun without trying too hard. Mazdaspeed Protegé, the forgotten factory tuner. The Mazdaspeed Protegé is the kind of car that proves how strange this era really was. Mazda took the regular Protegé, added turbocharging with help from Callaway, sharpened the chassis, gave it louder colors, upgraded the audio, fitted sporty wheels, and sold it as one of the first cars under the Mazdaspeed banner. That is a very specific moment in car history. The Mazdaspeed Protegé used a turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder, making 170 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque. By modern standards, those numbers do not sound huge. But at the time, in a lightweight compact sedan with a manual gearbox and a tuned chassis, it had real charm. This car was not about dominating drag races. It was about feel. The Mazdaspeed Protegé had a more balanced personality than the Neon. It looked loud, especially in colors like spicy orange, but the best part was the handling. It felt like Mazda was trying to build a complete enthusiast compact, not just a cheap car with boost added. Chevy Cobalt SS, the one people underestimated. The Chevy Cobalt SS is one of those cars that gets funnier the more you think about it. Chevrolet put the SS badge on a compact coupe, and instead of making it a mild appearance package, they actually gave it real performance. The early Cobalt SS Supercharged used a 2.0-liter Ecotec engine, making 205 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque. It came with a 5-speed manual and the kind of front-drive punch that made it feel much more serious than the regular Cobalt. Then Chevrolet went even further. The later turbocharged Cobalt SS made 260 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque from a 2.0-liter turbocharged engine. That was a huge number for a compact front-drive car at the time. This is the car that makes you wonder why Chevrolet never properly replaced it. Because underneath the cheap car image, the Cobalt SS had real enthusiast hardware. It could be fast, tunable, and surprisingly capable. The weakness was brand image and interior quality. A lot of people saw Cobalt and stopped paying attention. The cabin did not feel special enough, and the exterior never had the same built-in cool factor as a WRX or Civic C. But people who drove the serious versions knew. The Cobalt SS was the sleeper of the group, not because it looked invisible, but because people underestimated how serious Chevrolet actually made it. Nissan Sentra SER Spec V, the torque-rich underdog. The Nissan Sentra SER Spec V was not the flashiest car here, but it deserves respect. Its formula was simple. Take a compact Sentra, add a big naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder, fit a 6-speed manual, give it a limited slip differential, tighten the suspension, and let it punch above its image. By 2006, the Spec V made 175 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. torque. The important number was torque, compared with some rev-happier rivals. The Sentra felt muscular in everyday driving. It did not need to be constantly thrashed to move. That made it approachable. For someone looking for a first enthusiast car, it had a lot of what mattered. Manual transmission, usable power, practical sit-in body, and enough attitude to feel different from a normal commuter car. The weakness is that it did not have the same magic badge appeal. It was not as iconic as the WRX. It was not as polished as the Civic C. It was not as wild as the SRT4. And because of that, it sometimes gets lost in the conversation. But the Spec V belongs in this era because it represents something important. Even regular compact sedans used to have real performance variants. The Sentra SER Spec V was the practical underdog. It was not the poster car, but it was exactly the kind of affordable, manual, personality-filled compact that the market barely offers anymore. What happened to cars like this? Here is the painful part. The idea did not completely die, but it got smaller. Honda still sells the Civic C, and for 2026, it starts at $31,495 with a 200 horsepower 1.5-liter turbo engine, a 6-speed manual transmission, and a limited slip differential. Subaru still sells the WRX, and the 2026 model starts at $32,495 with a 271 horsepower turbocharged boxer engine and a standard 6-speed manual. Mazda still offers the Mazda 3 Turbo with up to 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque, plus standard all-wheel drive on turbo models. But it is not a direct Mazdaspeed replacement because the turbo version is more premium and less raw. So yes, some of the spirit survives. But look at the brands that left. Chevrolet's serious performance identity now lives much higher in the price range, with the 2026 Corvette Stingray starting at $70,000. Nissan still sells the Z, and it is a real sports car with a 400 horsepower twin-turbo V6, but its official starting price is $42,970 before destination, which puts it in a very different buyer category from the old Sentra SER Spec V. That is the difference. The old compact performance era gave younger buyers an entry point. It gave people a car they could buy, modify, learn on, daily drive, and build a personality around. Today, performance still exists, but cheap, strange, mechanical performance is much harder to find new. So which of these compact cars was the most insane? The Neon SRT4 was the wildest. The WRX was the most culturally important. The Civic C was the best balanced. The Mazdaspeed Protegé was the most underrated. The Cobalt SS was the biggest surprise. And the Sentra SER Spec V was the forgotten everyday hero. But the real winner is the era itself. Because for a short window, automakers believed that ordinary buyers deserved interesting cars. Not just appliances, not just crossovers, not just expensive performance trims that sit behind huge monthly payments. Real cars with manuals, turbos, weird colors, big wings, high-revving engines, limited slip differentials, and actual personality. That is what made 2000s compact cars insane. And that is why people still miss them. Now I want to hear from you. If you could bring back one affordable performance compact for the modern era, which one would it be? SRT4 WRX, Civic C, Mazdaspeed, Cobalt SS, or Sentra SER Spec V? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you want more videos on the cars that shaped real-world driving culture, subscribe to NextGear.